This is KMCV Channel 7, the only local channel covering all of the CNMI.
You couldn't have joined the Olive Twins at a better time. KMCV News is on its way.
And here's a quick look at what's coming up. The House passes the fiscal 93 budget, all three sections of it, and the appropriation measure now goes to the Senate.
And the acting Governor Benjamin T. Manglona is looking favorably at signing a House bill to restrict attorney fees in Article 12 cases.
And small business owners tell us how tough it is to make a buck in these troubled economic times.
You're about to cash in with a comprehensive look at the day's events. KMCV News is next.
Buenas noches para todos hamzu tatao saipandu tutantini and guahu si Carlotta de Leon Guerrero.
Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday cast of KMCV News. I'm Glenn Wakai. We'll have weather and sports in just a few minutes, but money tops our newscast this evening. The show is continuing. Lawmakers are still trying to pass a budget before the curtain falls on fiscal year 1993. In 6 weeks, the Commonwealth will usher in fiscal year 1994. Nanette Miranda reports on the latest progress on the much-anticipated financial package.
With only a few more weeks left until fiscal year 1993 is over, it's beginning to look like the CNMI will have a budget for that period after all. During last night's late-night session at the House, members finally passed a budget, one that is different from any other. Acting Chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, Pete Rages, introduced a new version, unprecedentedly dividing it into three parts. House Bill 309 appropriates $8.92 million to the judicial and legislative branches, the Washington Rep's Office, and all of the CNMI's autonomous agencies. House Bill 310 funds $87.24 million to departments considered detrimental: public safety, the school system, the college, and the hospital. House Bill 311 allocates $63.40 million to all other departments, mainly agencies under the executive branch. The House now transmits that new version of the budget to the Senate, whose members are on standby to meet and discuss that budget. Meanwhile, the House reconvened this morning and acted upon several other bills. They first called in Retirement Fund Administrator Thomas Aldan to answer questions regarding a bill currently before the governor for his signature. That proposal would give a 3% benefits increase to retired members of the Municipal Council and District Commissioners, which Aldan opposes.
I don't see the logic of giving an additional 3% benefit to those who work part-time, while those who work full-time are not getting it.
House members recalled that bill from the governor's office for further deliberation. Several other bills were deferred to the House Health, Education, and Welfare Committee. In light of the recent anti-prostitution raids, members wanted immediate action. 306 calls for nightclubs to install windows in privacy rooms. 307 prohibits indecent exposure. And 308 makes bodily contact between customers and entertainers illegal.
All of these bills are related to the anti-prostitution law. So rather than duplicate what the anti-prostitution law already provides, it is only fair that we look at those bills thoroughly and conduct public hearings and hear the community participation.
Other bills making their way to committee are the proposals to create $240 million worth of bonds. This money is earmarked to go towards infrastructure projects in case 702 funding doesn't come through. The House Ways and Means Committee now must investigate whether this is a good move. In Capitol Hill, Nanette Miranda for KMCV News.
The latest word from Senate President Juan Demopan's office is that the Senate will hold a session tomorrow morning.
The debate rages on over whether the Commonwealth's sluggish economy should be blamed on the controversy surrounding the Supreme Court's Article 12 provision, or if the economic recession in Japan is to blame. Much of the focus and concern for the downturn has been aimed at big businesses, but that could be misdirected. According to Chamber of Commerce President Roy Morioka, 80% of the businesses in any community are composed of small businesses, and their well-being signals the health and vitality of a community. We talked to small business owners today to gauge how they're doing and what they need to survive.
Island businesses are feeling the pinch caused by the economic downturn. The hotel industry received a big shot in the arm because of the shutdown of Guam's earthquake-damaged hotels recently. But what about the small business owner? What are they going through in this current economic climate? Frank Castro first opened the doors to his Garapan gas station in 1957. He says he's not sure who to blame for the downturn.
We have experienced up and downs, and there's a lot of people that talks about Article 12, for example, that is hurting the economy. I don't know how true it is, maybe it has something to do with, but I'm not very sure.
Castro expanded his business a few years ago to sell grocery items, but that's turned out to be a mistake now that the neighborhood is changing.
The service station is all right, though, but anything else, beside the service station, I think, like our store is not operating, the way we have expected. Because during those days, when we designed the business, there were residential area around this area, in our area.
Castro says the government should not let outside investors compete with his type of business category.
Outsiders would come in to the Commonwealth, on a business ventures trip, and then end up paying $50 a license or whatever the license fee is, and then they were allowed to do business, on a temporary basis and competing, the local small business, and this is really affecting, our side.
Juan T. Guerrero owns a small retail outlet in Garapan. In order to cut his costs and stay competitive, he's cut his overhead as low as possible and is running his store out of 3 containers. He says he has to watch his dollars as closely as his customers are watching theirs.
Business is real hard. People are looking for prices, at the same time trying to keep the quality, and competition is really stiff. It's people want more for their dollars, so they're looking at different stores now. They're going and looking at the ads.
Guerrero says now is the time for the government to loosen up on regulations in order to let the small business owner thrive.
The government is overdoing it. The small businesses need help, all the assistance they can get. As far as the economic climate here with our government, I think what we need to do is to have a more stabilized government, more government that says, okay, this is our plan, we'll not change our plan, so that, we try to attract, new business into the Commonwealth, or induce some of the local people to do their own business, because there's room to do all kinds of small businesses on the island. But we need to stabilize the government. Tell the government, keep your hands off, let the business do its work, and then from there probably we can see some fruits that will come out of this. But the government right now, I say, the politicians, stay away from regulating businesses, because it's not healthy. You see in the States, economic recession is everywhere, Japan, the US, and people need help, businesses need help. We're trying to lower the price, but the more regulation you have, the higher the price goes. So that's the way I look at it.
Absalon Waki's service-oriented business is having a tough time. Right now, in fact, he's not sure if he'll be able to stay open until the end of the year, given the amount of belt-tightening going on nowadays. Waki says government-backed low-interest loans could make the difference for his business, but he's been turned down.
I've tried to go to like CDA and different other financial institutions to talk to them about financial assistance to kind of like grow a little bit. Nobody will talk to us. They're saying either they don't have any money or we're a new business and they just can't afford to loan us any kind of money because we're like a high risk. How do we get anywhere if nobody's going to assist us in any way possible? We're just going to have to struggle the best we can.
Esco's Bakery is a family-run business, and that's one of the secrets of its success. According to General Manager Linda Cabrera, the economic downturn hasn't affected Esco's.
On the overall, I feel that business is good. The demand is here for the bakeries, and we do have a lot of off-island customers from Guam, and our product is a very popular item, especially in the Pantuba side.
Like Castro, she thinks the government should limit licenses for small businesses that could be run by a family.
I would like very much for our government to support the local businesses. And I have a very supportive side on the local people running the small businesses such as the mom and pop store. You know, I think we should curtail and prevent the outsiders in engaging in this kind of businesses. And I would like to see more and more local families and local people run their own business.
There's no Small Business Administration office here, although the Guam SBA Director Frank Lujan tries to get over here from time to time. Morioka says that small businesses here are supported by the Chamber of Commerce's Small Business Committee, headed by Francis Borja, who is also the Vice President of the Chamber of Commerce. A bill designed to clear up some of the controversy surrounding the Article 12 issue is with the executive branch now for action. House Bill 8-295 is designed to limit attorney fees in Article 12 cases. It's currently being reviewed by the executive office before it makes it to the governor's desk. But Acting Governor Benjamin Manglonia already has a thought or two about the bill.
And perhaps that will put a fair rate on land transaction, in which case attorneys will not overburden clients, and in that way it may result in the end to some kind of problem that may result to the land alienation provision of our constitutions.
House Floor Leader Stanley Torres drafted House Bill 8-295.
Coming up next, the man you just saw, Benjamin T. Manglonia, is preparing for a meeting with Congressman George Miller next month.
And millions of dollars from the Commonwealth are flowing out and into the Philippines. That story when we come back. Stay with us. Acting Governor Benjamin Manglonia is preparing for a September meeting with California Congressman George Miller to try and convince him to change his position on the 702 agreement. The island's top leaders will meet with Miller at the request of the Washington rep Juan Babauta. Miller lobbied extensively against the $120 million financial aid package. Manglonia says the loss of the 702 was due to a misunderstanding of what was expected by the U.S. Congress and what was delivered by the CNMI government.
And we are hoping that at that discussion or at that meeting, we may bring about the 702 issues. It will be a good opportunity to bring back the subject so that we can reactivate the discussion on the 702. I believe there was some misunderstanding between the U.S. Congress, Senate, and the House Conference Committee, and they never get around to agree on specific conditions that we were trying to put by law. So that's what prevented the agreement from being approved.
Manglonia says he's written to the President of the Senate, Juan Demapan, and the Speaker of the House, Tomas Villagomez, to not dampen the reform-minded spirit that the Guerrero administration hopes to foster in the legislature. Manglonia says it's time lawmakers look at existing laws and see which ones need clarification and modification, and to do it because he says it needs to be done and not just to please the U.S. Congress.
Believe that in doing it, it may help us and it may help our people, so that by doing it, it may very well trigger reconsideration, or Congress may be sympathetic of what we're doing, even if on their side maybe they thought that we not concerned about 702 anymore. So my suggestion is that we should continue to do that.
Not drop the ball.
Not drop the ball, yeah.
Manglonia says he also intends to beef up efforts to have the president appoint someone to the 902 talks. He says this is the vehicle for negotiating differences in the CNMI federal relationship.
And there's a cog in the CNMI's trickle-down economics. A large percentage of wages earned is not being spread throughout the local economy. It's going elsewhere. The numbers of contract workers in the Commonwealth is down, but the amount of money being sent to their home countries is up. The remittance business is booming. Tonight we examine the flow of cash out of the CNMI. At one point, there were 24,000 alien workers toiling in the Commonwealth. That figure is down to about 18,000. A majority are Filipinos that fill an important void in the labor market and in the Philippine Treasury.
Not too many of them safe. a lot of the bulk of the money that they get in wages are remitted to Manila. At least that's what the records are telling us.
The figures tell us that in 1991, nearly $29 million was sent to the Philippines. A year later, that figure shot up to over $34 million. Despite losing about 6,000 aliens over the past year, Deputy Director of Banking Oscar Camacho says the figures for the first quarter of 1993 mirror those of last year, meaning more is being remitted per capita. The king of the remittance business is Ruston's. Last year, the company sent nearly $5.5 million to the Philippines. However, manager Presi Serla says profits are harder to come by.
It's almost the same. Yeah. It's just it just decreased a little because you see business especially constructions it's very slow and many have closed.
So have many remittance companies. At this time last year, there were 19 players. Now there are only 14. But those that remain are seeing more dollar signs.
We had about a 60 to 70% increase in remitters or customers.
While Ruston's has been losing about 10 customers per month, Pinoy Express has expanded its customer base. In the 6 months of 1993, it has surpassed its entire remittance total for 1992. Why do Filipinos send so much money back home?
Well, it's a matter of tradition, actually, where a family in the Philippines usually sends one of their family abroad to earn money.
Rowena Sullivan is one of those people.
I'm the one who gonna help them for their living.
We are here to work, to earn money, to help our families in the Philippines, and this is the reason why we send them right after payday, send them enough money to keep life going.
Serla says if a person wants to send money to Manila, doing so through the mail is risky and takes a while.
If you remit the money to me today, then they can receive it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Is it safe though? Do you ever send the money to the wrong house?
As long it's under our custody. Now, if they didn't receive the money, then you can come and claim the money.
Remittance companies make their money by charging a fee of $4 to $9 per transaction, depending on the destination. Despite so much money being sent off island, Jack Torres says the increase in remittance is a good sign.
This slave labor wages and stuff, I think it does not reflect the actual facts that we have. If these guys can remit money, that means I believe that they're making good enough.
Torres says Chinese nationals usually save their money in local bank accounts and then pull all of it out upon their departure. While people talk about a sluggish economy, there are signs that it's coming to light. BP Regis and Associates is applying for a permit to build a 280-room condominium hotel in Astrolahi. There will be a public hearing tonight on the application conducted by the Coastal Resource Management Office. The Aqua Hills Condotel project also includes staff housing and infrastructure. The hearing is scheduled for 6:30 in the San Vicente Elementary School cafeteria.
After a frightening accident, all is well for businessman and CNMI Special Judge Larry Hillbloom. Today, an associate accompanying Hillbloom to Hawaii called to say that the judge is doing fine. Hillbloom and 2 passengers were testing a new engine. The group was en route from Tinian to Saipan when the single-engine Cessna flipped shortly after takeoff and slammed into an ironwood tree. Hillbloom suffered broken ribs, hands, and facial bones. He'll be undergoing facial surgery in San Francisco before the week's end. Attorney Bruce Jorgensen sat in the back seat of the 4-passenger craft and suffered only minor injuries. Also on board the plane was a mechanic hired by Hillbloom. CHC Deputy Director Ned Areola would not identify the man nor describe his injuries. Nursing Supervisor Elvira Tamayo would only say the Philippine national would be discharged today. KMCV News learned that the man is Antonio Gotas and he lives in Dandan. He was sitting next to Hillbloom in the front of the plane. Gotas sustained bruises to the chest and multiple stitches to his chin and nose. Commonwealth Ports Authority spokesman Frank Rosario says Federal Aviation Administration officials will begin their investigations tomorrow.
Meanwhile, the Division of Environmental Quality has completed its weekly investigation. Today, it warned swimmers and fishermen that several locations on the west side of the island may contain high concentrations of fecal coliform bacteria. They are the Hafa-Day Beach Hotel, the Diamond Beach Hotel, the drainage south of the Daiichi Hotel, the Garapan Fishing Dock, and the PIC Beach. The presence of this bacteria may be harmful. DEQ advises everyone to stay at least 300 feet away from these locations for at least 48 hours.
Good evening and welcome back. Let's take a look at what's in store for us this evening. For tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with isolated light showers, winds easterly 5 to 10 miles per hour, and the low temperature in the mid-70s. Our seas tonight will be slight to moderate, 2 to 4 feet. Surf conditions 3 to 5 feet on northern clockwise cruise, southeastern exposures, and 1 to 3 feet elsewhere. Our first sight this evening will be a high of 2.5 feet, due up at 7:59, and the tide will drop to a low of 1 foot at 1:30 early Wednesday morning. The sun will set at 6:42 this evening, and sunrise tomorrow morning will be as early as 6:08. And for tomorrow's forecast, expect the same we had today, partly cloudy skies with isolated light showers, becoming mostly sunny by late afternoon with isolated afternoon showers, winds northeasterly 5 to 10 miles per hour, gusting up to 20, and the high temperature near the 90s. And that's all for our weather report.
Thank you very much, Vicki, and that's all for news. On behalf of the entire KMCV News team, thanks for tuning in tonight. And be sure and tune in tomorrow night for the John Anderson Show. John's guest will be Congresswoman Ana Terreguezo. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you again tomorrow night. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.